is boxing's longest reigning current champion.
I am Joe Calzaghe, undefeated.
Who now faces fellow undefeated title holder, Mikkel Kessler.
You may not know me, but I am a champion.
Not so long ago, this 168-pound unification fight between Wales's Joe Calzaghe and Denmark's Mikkel Kessler would have gone unnoticed outside of Europe. A title holder since 1997, Calzaghe needed a 2006 conquest of highly regarded American Jeff Lacey to launch his international reputation.
Calzaghe begins to hammer it home.
The Welsh icon's stature continued to grow as his streak of title defenses reached 20. Within the borders of Denmark lurks an even more unfamiliar national hero.
Mikkel Kessler dominant in Denmark.
Hailing from a nation with scant boxing history, Kessler's March destruction of then undefeated Librado Andrade thrust his name worldwide. With an aggregate record of 82-0, Calzaghe versus Kessler is no longer just a European novelty. Will Welsh fans witness continued dominance from their local hero?
I'll stay the best in the world.
Or can a Dane travel across the North Sea and make a great statement in hostile territory?
I worked for this fight my whole life.
It's prime time for the 168-pounders. 60,000 fans are expected in Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, Wales, as Joe Calzaghe takes on Mikkel Kessler next. Cardiff, Wales, for another international installment of World Championship Boxing. Tonight, more than 50,000 fans are expected to fill Millennium Stadium and cheer for Joe Calzaghe from nearby Bagwood as he faces Denmark's Mikkel Kessler in a matchup of two undefeated fighters, putting their respective titles on the line for clear world supremacy at 168 pounds. It's Europe's version of Leonard Hearns 1 or De La Hoya Trinidad. Two unbeaten fighters, near enough in ability and near enough to the peaks of their respective careers that it's almost impossible to anticipate anything other than a close, competitive, perhaps epic fight. In 116 years of glove prize fighting, never has a battle between two Europeans aroused such excitement and anticipation. They've angled toward each other for more than a year. And now, for Joe Calzaghe and Mikkel Kessler, the hour of decision arrives. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley, and welcome to a scenario and a set of circumstances so vivid in detail that William Shakespeare himself might have been proud to conceive it. An unbeaten Dane against an unbeaten Welshman, 3 nights after All Hallows Eve, before 50,000 zealots on a rugby pitch in Wales for supremacy in the 168-pound weight class all around the world. Just a little bit later on, you'll be hearing from Max Kellerman and Emmanuel Stewart, but we begin with an introduction to the not-so-melancholy Dane in tonight's fight scenario, Denmark's Mikkel Kessler, who's made the trip here from Copenhagen. This is Denmark, perhaps the most beautiful little country in the world. There's virtually no unemployment here, virtually no crime. In fact, it's hard to imagine anyone getting particularly angry about anything.
You know, Denmark is a small country with 5 million inhabitants, and it's a country with a lot of welfare. It's a country where nothing really bad can happen. People are not very ambitious because you can do without that.
Strange, then, that in this happiest of little kingdoms lives one of boxing's fiercest fighters.
Mikkel Kessler is putting on a show.
Like most kids in Denmark, Mikkel Kessler's first sport was soccer. But by age 13, he wanted something different and asked his mother if she'd take him to the local boxing gym.
And then we got there and the trainer said, okay, come on, change your clothes, get out there. He was horrible. I thought he was a horrible person. My poor little baby boy.
Most of Kessler's friends, fearful of the violence in boxing, were not allowed to try the sport.
Once he got some blood on him, on his shorts, and I didn't like that.
She wasn't that afraid like my other friends' mothers.
No, no, I'm not afraid. But you explained to me once about it. You said, the art of boxing is not to get hit. And that was quite simple, you know.
Yeah.
As a teenage amateur, Kessler dominated. By 16, he was European youth champion. Soon after, he began thinking about turning professional and quitting his day job.
I was a mechanic for 2.5 years. But, you know, I saw the old mechanics and everything, and I didn't want to be that.
So Kessler quit. His co-workers at the Mercedes-Benz factory thought that was a big mistake.
They always told me, you're just a stupid boxer, you're not gonna be anything, you know. They were bullshitting also, of course. But you know, I took it in, you know, and then I thought, I'm gonna be something, you know, something special.
Mikkel Kessler dominant in Denmark.
Kessler's extraordinary success, 39 professional wins with no defeats, has made him Denmark's biggest sports star. Last year, he was voted Athlete of the Year. To escape the limelight and high Danish taxes, Kessler lives most of the year in Monaco. When he returns to Denmark to train for fights, he keeps a low profile and spends his free time catching up with old friends.
The last year he was the greatest sportsman in Denmark.
And we got nothing to be proud about. We just talk about Mikkel.
That's good. Now we're here with the football fields. I played football when I was a young kid. Right by here, I actually have my motorbike in the shop here. In the summertime in Denmark, I can go for a ride on my bike, and that's what I enjoy the most.
Kessler's parents are no longer together, but he remains close to both. His mother, with whom he shares a special morning ritual, lives a short walk from his Copenhagen apartment.
When Mikkel's in Denmark, he comes down here and has breakfast, you know.
As much as possible.
Yeah, and then we hear all about what he's been doing and everything. It's quite exciting, actually, having a well-known son.
His mother was always there. His father has always been there. His comrade and his friend, and his pretty safe surroundings where nothing tough happens. He never do anything that people could be jealous or something like, because he's just a simple, nice guy. In fact, it's sort of a paradox that Kessler is so good a boxer.
The interest in me at the moment is huge, and I never thought of that. Not my dreams. And yes, this is the biggest fight for me. So many people is gonna be there watching around the world. So I have to do the best I can to show them that I'm the world champion.
Back live at ringside in Cardiff, Wales, if Kessler, who for reasons you might have observed there has been called by some the Oscar de la Hoya of Europe, is the emerging force here, Calzaghe, the proven commodity at age 35, admits that he is headed toward, if not indeed out the boxing door after this fight. He labored for years in relative obscurity against unknown opposition before getting what was supposed to be the acid test a year and a half ago against American Jeff Lacey. He annihilated Lacey. In the wake of that, some in boxing thought that he might evade the younger, stronger Kessler in favor of looking for American opponents like Bernard Hopkins. But to Calzaghe's credit, he told his promoter Frank Warren earlier this year that he was eager to fight Mikkel Kessler regardless of the risk. And in doing so, he gives this small nation a moment of electricity it will not soon forget. The sun rises in Cardiff, historic capital of Wales. But already the city bustles with activity, as in just 4 days, the pride of Wales, Joe Calzaghe, takes on Denmark's Mikkel Kessler at Millennium Stadium for the Super Middleweight Championship of the World.
So it's quite exciting. Everyone's going to be looking forward to whether you're a boxing fan or not.
And the people of Cardiff prepare to host what could be the largest indoor boxing event Europe has ever seen, with businesses expecting to make a killing in the run-up to the fight.
Well, they'll be licking their lips ahead of this one. I'm told that about 50,000 tickets already being sold, and I think most of those will be from out of Cardiff, with 50 to 60,000 people coming into the city for a couple of days. We've estimated that it's between £5 and £10 million. It's worth that much to the city.
Meanwhile, 20 miles away in Newbridge, the old working-class town where Calzaghe trains, the locals also count the days until their native son heads to battle.
Yeah. Right, so you'll be sitting where you did, right there on the front, looking straight across at the fight there, and you should knock him out on this side. Right? That's a sign to knock him out on, so you should be all right there.
It's time for him to prove now that he is the best super middleweight in the world, and what better stage than the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff.
For a Welsh sporting public starved for success, the unification showdown between the two undefeated titleists couldn't have come at a better time.
The Wales rugby team in the past year have had one of their worst years in memory. They were knocked out of the World Cup in the group stage to Fiji, which was disastrous in this country. The football team are struggling badly. The main club football side have also had a very poor year. So it is fair to say Joe really does carry the hopes of a nation on his shoulders.
Amid the anticipation, Calzaghe keeps his composure as he prepares for the fight of his life.
There's always pressure in every fight. You know, people say 50,000 people are going to turn up. Is that going to be added pressure? No, it doesn't matter if it's 5,000 people, because, you know, there's enough pressure with the guy who's in the opposite corner.
But a victory for the Pride of Wales this Saturday could resonate beyond the British shores. His evenly matched bout with Kessler has generated widespread interest in the United States and will be shown live in prime time across the Atlantic.
Whoever wins this contest is going to have a major impact on European boxing. And let me put it to you this way. If the toughest guy in your street was going to box the toughest guy in the next street, everyone would want to go and see that fight. And in Mikkel, Kessler and Joe Calzaghe, what you have right now is two undefeated sportsmen who appeal to the public, who are good looking, if you like, the old-fashioned black and white 50s heroes, and they're going to be boxing each other.
The day before the eagerly awaited fight, throngs begin descending on Cardiff from all directions.
They're coming from all over the United Kingdom, that there's a large contingency coming in from America, and of course there are some Danes coming in as well. The city's full. We've got about 7,000 or 8,000 beds in the city and in the area, and they're all taken.
But as night falls, it becomes clear sleep is not on the agenda. For fans here in support of Calzaghe. And Kessler will have more than his opponent's fists to contend with when he steps into the ring for the epic showdown.
There's no chance that he has ever fought in any kind of environment close to this. You know, he is going to have his fans. He's going to have maybe 2,000 people supporting him, but he's going to be so outweighed by Joe's supporters. Sugar Ray Leonard said that Peter Manfredo found it very, very intimidating, and that was just 35,000. You know, with over 50, the noise in the atmosphere will be something special.
One more note in this scenario. It is 1 hour past midnight here, which means that this almost all Welsh, almost all Calzaghe crowd of more than 50,000 has had several hours to oil itself up in preparation to support their man. We'll see how big a factor the crowd will be tonight. Turning now to HBO boxing analyst Max Kellerman. Max, the 168-pound weight class, not one of the original 8 divisions in boxing, has long been seen as an oddity, not as a glamour division. This, however, is a glamour fight, and one thing about 168, in order to succeed in this weight class, you almost have to have the kind of all-sport, generalized athletic talent which demonstrates that you could be good at anything.
It's a great point. You know, a lot of the greatest fighters ever, Jim, were essentially outsized middleweights. Sam Langford, Harry Reb, Billy Kahn. They were outsized middleweights before there was a super middleweight division. The division itself is not even 25 years old. It's only been around since '84. And therefore, this is the first super middleweight super fight in the history of boxing. Roy Jones and James Toney had a big fight in this division, but for them it was really a stopover on their way from middleweight to ultimately the heavyweight division. This is what you have to know. Joe Calzaghe is the super middleweight champion of the world. Forget the belts. Kessler is his #1 contender. They're both unbeaten. Tonight, they vie not only for 168-pound supremacy, but indeed for entry into the pound-for-pound discussion alongside names like Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Indeed. And because of all of that and all the other things we've told you, this fight has been analyzed and sized up in every way imaginable on both sides of the Atlantic. So as we turn to our World Championship boxing expert, Emmanuel Stewart, Emmanuel, the one thing on which almost everyone seems to agree, Calzaghe has the faster hands. Kessler is the bigger hitter. We've seen that kind of matchup many times. In your estimation, when one guy might land more because his hands are faster, and the other guy might land harder because he's a bigger puncher, who usually wins?
Usually, and I'm saying usually, in most cases, the guy with the faster hands. He accumulates points, especially when a bout goes to a decision. This is not the normal case tonight. Kessler is a more accurate puncher, good balance, good fundamentals, which I love. And even though Calzaghe throws a lot of punches, a lot of different good movements, I think the superstar quality of both of these guys means it's going to be a very tight fight. And I think the defense of Kessler, where even though Calzaghe is throwing a lot of punches, if he's not landing those punches cleanly and is getting hit back with short, accurate punches, it means the fight's going to be a close fight. But more important than that, in this fight here, it's a thing that I say with Lennox and Latimer when we all talk, champions have a certain arrogance, a certain way they walk, a certain swagger. And both of these guys have that. They feel and think like champions. And that's what champions are made inside. And we have two superstars tonight in their own minds. It's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, and they're both terrific guys, tremendously self-possessed, very relaxed. Quickly, the tail of the tape for Mikkel Kessler and Joe Calzaghe. And you'll see one immediate advantage in the estimation of almost everyone for Kessler. 7 years younger than Calzaghe. 1 inch taller than Calzaghe. Arm length, 2 inches more for Kessler, measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. Calzaghe worked hard to make weight and was surprised to find himself under 167 on the scale yesterday. Kessler at first failed to make 168, had to remove a couple of articles of clothing, then stepped back onto the scale and made it on the nose. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Joe Calzaghe Mikkel Kessler fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules. No 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. You go to the scorecards after 4 rounds on an accidental headbutt, and you can't be saved by the bell at any round, including the 12th. Jim!
And as we set all that up, Mikkel Kessler begins his walk to the ring. An important part of the politics of the fight was the question of where it would take place. Kessler has been difficult to lure out of Copenhagen throughout his career. He's a tremendous draw there. Calzaghe has been impossible to get off the shores of Great Britain by and large. At the end of the day, when Calzaghe fought Peter Manfredo and 35,000 people showed up, that sealed the deal, Max.
Well, that's right. You know, this is the first pure super middleweight super fight, because both guys have spent practically their entire professional careers, their significant portion of their careers professionally, in the division, and they don't plan on going anywhere soon. Similarly, they spent their entire significant careers professionally in their hometowns. Ultimately, Calzaghe, who can draw 50,000 plus,
world champion,
has more economic clout than Kessler.
And so now you see Michael Buffer introduces Kessler as he walks into the ring. Emmanuel Stewart, if you were training Kessler, how worried would you be about the scene, about the crowd of 50,000 plus, about the fact that he'll find no support in this jam-packed arena?
I believe that it could be a major factor, and I take it serious. I mean, we experienced that just recently with Jermaine Taylor and the fight he had with Kelly Patton, especially with the guys that are used to that, and he's had all of his fights, which virtually Kessler's had in his own home country. But I believe that he will prevail, and it will not bother him too much, but it is going to have some effect.
As you look around the arena, Kessler might find the chance to see about, 9 or 10 Danish flags. But there's a smile on his face because he's gotten the chance to find his defining fight, and there must have been moments in his career, Max, when he worried that Calzaghe would never open the door.
It's to Calzaghe's credit. He's always claimed that he wanted to fight the big fights, and Frank Warren and economic circumstances were such that they eluded him. Now, over the last several fights, Jeff Lacey and now Kessler, he's proving that he will fight the big fights.
It's called a unification fight. Kessler holds 2 of the 4 belts in the division. Calzaghe has held the belt that he has enforced as his own for more than 10 years, 20 title defenses. There is another belt in the division, but it's immaterial tonight. The winner of this fight is clearly the best in the world. And get ready for the roar.
Joe Calzaghe!
Any fighter would love it. It's hard to imagine anybody loving it more and more openly than Joe Calzaghe does.
Well, there's a lot of other fighters. I think Felix Trinidad, to me, was admitted. He would enjoy the excitement when he came in the ring, I think, more so than he did fight. But this means a big factor. You know, when you have a good, exciting crowd like this, it makes the fighters fight better. They get excited. The adrenaline level goes up with both athletes, and you get a much better fight than you normally would get with a dead or a small crowd.
Some have criticized Calzaghe for not having faced opposition in America. After his victory here over Manfredo, he scathingly pointed out, hey, Bernard Hopkins and Winky Wright won't draw 10,000 fans in Las Vegas. Why do I have to go there?
Joe Calzaghe has drawn over 50,000 fans tonight. Why should he ever have to go anywhere?
I still personally would like to see him come to America. I think for him to be accepted and be more credited, in my mind, I would like to see him be able to fight away from having such a strong partisan crowd.
And if he wins tonight, there's almost no question he'll do it. He and Bernard Hopkins have begun flirting and dancing verbally with each other over the course of the past several months, and there are a lot of people who would love to see it. Perhaps even in Hopkins' suggested venue of Yankee Stadium in New York. Let's go to Mikkel Buffer now in the ring.
Silent for the national anthem of Denmark. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the multi-award-winning Bridge and Male Voice Choir to sing the national anthem of Wales. Ladies and gentlemen, from Millennium Stadium, Cardiff, Wales, Mr. Frank Warren for Sports Network is proud to present the main event of the evening, brought to you in association with FrankWarren.tv and International Entertainment, along with Setana Sports and HBO, sponsored by Nemiroff and The Sun. This is the contest we've all been waiting for. Undefeated champion versus undefeated champion. 12 3-minute rounds for the universally recognized, undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. Sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, Lord Brooks and John Reese QC, stewards in charge. The World Boxing Organization, supervisor, Mr. John Duggan of the United States. The World Boxing Association, supervisor, Signor Renzo Bagnarial. The World Boxing Council, supervisor, Monsieur Bob Louis of Belgium. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this contest will be from Italy. Signore Massimo Baravecchio. From the United States, Mr. Raul Caiz. From the United States, John Stewart. Inside the ring, referee in charge of the action, also from the United States, Mr. Mikkel Ortega. And now, for the tens of thousands in attendance in person and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the red corner, wearing red with white, official weight 168 pounds. He made his professional debut in 1998 and captured the WBA World Championship in 2004. He added the WBC title in 2006. His record is a perfect one, consisting of 39 bouts, 39 victories, including 29 knockouts. From Copenhagen, Denmark, the reigning, defending WBA, WBC super middleweight world champion, the Viking warrior, Mikkel Kessler. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black with white, official weight 166 pounds, 7 ounces. He currently is the longest reigning champion in the world and one of only 6 men in boxing history with 20 successful world title defenses. In 43 bouts, he has 43 victories, including 32 knockouts. Presenting the fighting pride of Newbridge, Wales, the reigning, defending, undefeated WBO super middleweight champion of the world, Joe Calzaghe.
Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Good luck to both of you. Touch them up and come out fighting at the bell.
A little over a month ago, Kelly Pavlik knocked out Jermaine Taylor for the middleweight championship by having faith that boxing fundamentals would overcome unorthodox athleticism. Mikkel Kessler will try to do the same thing here right now.
Round 1 begins. And one question is, how aggressive will Calzaghe be against the man regarded as a bigger puncher. Joe Calzaghe has never backed down against anyone.
Every indication right now is that he intends to be extremely aggressive and apply a lot of pressure on Kessler, who's normally a technical fighter who likes to think, and they believe that Calzaghe is going to tonight try to put pressure, make him fight faster than he normally fights, to make him offset his thinking.
In his great rounds, and there have been many of them, Mikkel Kessler throws many more jabs than is the average in this weight class. Sometimes upwards of 50 jabs per round. He'll want to try to get it going despite Calzaghe's southpaw stance. Not always an easy assignment. There's been a significant punch so far. It was an early body shot by Calzaghe.
But at this stage right now, it's a very tight technical fight. I think that Calzaghe, being such a great technical and adjusted type fighter, is realizing that he's dealing with a little different opponent than he's been in the past. And I see him right now not being so overly aggressive and careless as he was in the beginning, because Kessler's taking advantage of his mistakes because of his great position and balance.
Both fighters are regarded as great managers of distance. Guys who know exactly how to set up in such a way that they can land and force the other man to miss. One question tonight is who can win the battle of distance? Then can Calzaghe get inside of Kessler's offense? Can Kessler keep Calzaghe at the end of his big punches?
People bring up Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns when discussing this fight. Like Leonard and Hearns, both these guys can punch. They can both box. It is unclear who will wind up being the aggressor here, who will wind up being the boxer.
I agree with you. And also, I mean, looking like Calzaghe is punching with a little bit more thought and much more straighter with his punches than he has in the past.
Well, Calzaghe says, when I throw roundhouse punches, it's because I'm fighting lesser opponents and I don't concentrate as well. Look at what I did to Lacey, where he poured his offense down the middle time and time again and hit Lacey with an unending barrage of accurate shots. For the moment, Kessler is able, when he fires his double jab and brings the right hand behind it, to back Calzaghe off.
That's why this has been a very good fight so far. No one has really established control. Both have landed a few clean blows, but you can't make a mistake. Both are punching very accurate and very sharp.
Couple of body shots for Calzaghe, one inside right hand for Kessler. Not much to choose between them in round one.
Not much to choose. Round may go to Calzaghe possibly because of his body rhythm, which creates excitement like he's doing more. Whereas, on the other hand, Kessler doesn't do a lot of moving around and jumping and moving his hands and feet.
Jab, don't rush the jab, all right? You're not from left hand, you rush your jab, you're not from left hand jab. You've got to get his jab working, all right? Okay, so far so good. Okay, you're not punching the hurt. You've got some fencing, all right? Start whacking the shot the body. All right, get your range, right? It's okay, nothing wrong with that, right? You put it in for the first jab.
Baz.
Are you looking at me? Baz! Put it on. Right, listen to me. You then come and jab. Let the jab travel, double jab, and come in with 3 forwards. It's pace. You listen now?
For the moment, they're speaking English in Kessler's corner. We hadn't anticipated that. We do have a Danish interpreter. Yes, Mortensen. CompuBox numbers in round one. Calzaghe 15 out of 64. Kessler 8 out of 43. So if there was an edge there, it belonged to the Welsh fighter, the home fighter. One big question, of course, given the venue, is does Kessler have to score a knockout to win the fight? Can he win a decision on Welsh turf in what's expected to be a close fight? Kessler, of course, says what everyone would say about that. I'm not concerned about it, or I'll take it out of the hands of the judges.
It was interesting talking to a lot of the people here from Welsh. A lot of them give Kessler a very good chance of winning the fight, much more than I expected.
And we can see why. Kessler is studying Calzaghe, measuring the distance, landing short counter punches inside.
Good left hook there by Kessler. Incidentally, his mother is English, migrated to Denmark. There's a warning from Mikkel Ortega to Joe Calzaghe about holding behind the head. So Kessler is technically half English, half British, although that doesn't cut much ice with the Welsh crowd. Kessler stepping in just a little closer now to fire his left jab.
Yeah, both guys are very leery because they're having problems adjusting to the speed. But I don't think either one has ever fought a fighter of the caliber that they're fighting tonight. But Calzaghe is very tricky, punches from different angles, and he punches very good and close, surprisingly, sometimes, even though he's a tall guy.
Emmanuel, is it inevitable when you step in and realize you're fighting somebody better than you've ever faced before, that for a few moments at least you become cautious?
Yes, and I think that's what happened to both guys.
Big right hand attempted by Kessler, just missed. Now he lands the right hand, drives Calzaghe into the ropes, and Calzaghe bounces off with a right hand of his own. But Kessler's punches are starting to find the mark.
Well, as Kessler said when we spoke, he may not be as fast as Calzaghe, but there's not that much difference in his speed.
And the straightest distance between, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Kessler punches straighter than Calzaghe.
But, you know, Calzaghe has a much better upper body movement. His head is very much more difficult to predict as compared to Kessler. Kessler's head is very stationary.
And as Calzaghe's proven throughout his career, he's wildly competitive. If you touch him, he's coming back.
Yeah, and he mixes up. He'll throw a looping left hand around the side of the head, and the next time he'll shoot it right through the middle.
Guys,
two right hands by Calzaghe.
This round, almost every significant punch has been landed by Kessler that I've seen.
But still, the rhythm of Calzaghe, I think, may bother going down the stretch Kessler because he's making Kessler's mind have to function a lot more.
Body shot inside by Calzaghe. Kessler again with the right hand. Fight is getting a little bit more active. Immediately following our telecast, stay tuned for the premiere of Countdown to Cotto Mosley. Our behind-the-scenes look at both of those fighters as they prepare for their welterweight championship fight 1 week from tonight, live on pay-per-view.
It's good. He's throwing the power shot. Listen to me. Are you trying to...
The Kessler corner wants him to keep keeping his distance and don't show too much respect. Keep pressuring him, keep up the tempo, and focus on his body. Keep hitting him hard. Hard punches, hard punches. Come on, keep the pressure.
You saw the CompuBox numbers on overall punches. Power punches through round 2. Calzaghe 15 of 55, 27%. Kessler 10 of 27, 37%. So Kessler a little more focused on power shot. Down goes Kessler, and that's a slip. Crowd responded as though it was a knockdown, but clearly it was a slip. Mikkel Ortega wants time to wipe off the gloves of Mikkel Kessler, who was ready to go back to fighting right away.
Not only was it a slip, Kessler had just landed a good punch.
Good right hand by Kessler. Calzaghe comes back with a left and begins to throw his arms wide and wing his punches. An occasional Calzaghe habit. But Joe thinks that his hand speed advantage is starting to come into play.
Well, I think not just his hand speed, this is so fierce determination because he seems to be panicking because he realizes how close this fight is and nobody has got a really decided edge, and he seems to be punching more in desperation to try to establish an advantage.
And you see how much more precise in his technique Kessler is as he sticks within the envelope, throwing his jab and the right hand in totally conventional fashion. While Calzaghe begins to get squirrely and wild.
Calzaghe's trying to impose his will on Kessler as he has with every opponent he's ever fought. Kessler is unlike any opponent he's ever fought. I don't know that he can simply impose his will by wildly winging punches.
I believe he's beginning to impose his will. I may be wrong. He seems to be, he's making Kessler fight at a much faster pace, and the punches are coming from so many different angles, and Kessler's more of a basic fighter.
And it's fascinating that Calzaghe's brave enough here in round 3 to drop his hands to his waist and showboat just a little bit.
He always does that to somebody.
I know. but some thought he wouldn't do it tonight. Straight left hand landed for Calzaghe. Reaching for the body shot there. Kessler's corner asked him to focus on the body, but by and large, I think Mikkel is mostly throwing upstairs. Good left hand by Calzaghe. And another. And another. And suddenly Calzaghe is landing his straight left right down the chute. Kessler gets in a right hand, but Calzaghe keeps coming.
The pressure is mounting. And I don't know if Kessler's going to hold up much longer if the fight can continue this pace, unless he can seriously hurt Calzaghe to slow him down.
Backs him off with a left hook there.
I don't get that impression, Emmanuel. Although Calzaghe clearly is winning this round.
As you might have expected against a southpaw opponent, Kessler hasn't been as consistent with his jab as is the case in most of his fights.
That's the pace you can box his neck. That's the way you can box him. That's the way you can. Where's his punch? Fucking what? There's no what? Fuck all it. Where's his punch? Are you okay? You got 4 rounds, full dick. Full dick, please. Right? Okay, that's amazing, right?
Keep up your tempo, Mikkel. Don't let him take 2 long breaks. Just keep pressuring him. Don't give him any chances. Don't give him it. Keep going at him. Just keep going.
Right here you see a shot that comes over that lands to the body, but it is more of an off-balance situation. And it really wasn't a clear knockdown by any means, as much as it was balanced. But here you see Calzaghe come back and land a clean counter left hand at the end.
Power punches in round 3. Calzaghe was 13 out of 48. Kessler 12 out of 19. Calzaghe throwing many more punches. That usually catches the eye of the judges. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim. 2 rounds to 1. 29-28. Joe Calzaghe. Jim, southpaws love to get off first, love to come forward, love to do that. Right jab, straight left hand. They love to back up their opponents. They're really big when they find out a back foot going backwards. In rounds 2 and 3, Joe Calzaghe constantly got off first, took it to Kessler, and he won the rounds 2 and 3. 2-1, Calzaghe. One quick thing, Joe's wearing Grant gloves, Kessler's wearing Everlast. Come on, Mikkel!
Now, you might suspect that that means that Joe is protecting his oft-injured hands with a more protected glove. Oh, and they trade punches in the middle of the ring.
After Calzaghe beat Kessler's corner back into Danish, Kessler's come out this round, it seems, wanting to stop Calzaghe from bullying.
Big uppercut by Kessler.
Best punch of the fight.
Calzaghe holding, and then gets in a body shot as they pull away. Yeah, Kessler's uppercut was the first really solidly landed power punch
and I think
in
it
range.
hurt, for a moment, I think it hurt Calzaghe too.
Calzaghe showing a very good chin, absorbing some crisp, clean shots this round.
We were talking about the choice of gloves, Calzaghe wearing Grant and Kessler wearing Everlast. Calzaghe has often been bedeviled by hand injuries in the past. So too has Kessler. He has titanium in both hands. And it was Kessler who was rumored in the build-up to the fight to have missed as much as 2 or 3 weeks of sparring with an injured right hand. He, of course, said that wasn't the case, but British journalists are persistent in saying it was true.
Well, it's a lot.
Big uppercut by Kessler
again. A lot of
again.
talk has been about the hands, and both guys going into this fight, the hands have been a big factor.
And now Kessler's jab begins to land, as his uppercut has twice caught Calzaghe in his tracks in this round. I think Kessler may have found something new here, Emmanuel.
Kessler's beating him because he's landing more solid accurate punches. And I think that right uppercut really got Calzaghe's attention early in the round. And he hasn't really recuperated mentally from that, I don't believe.
These guys are punching, in particular Kessler, very hard. And a super fight has broken out in this super fight.
See how Calzaghe responds to the barrage of uppercuts. As usual, he's going to do it by throwing as much leather as he can.
This has turned out to be a very good fight.
All you need is to keep pressuring him. He'll get tired. Don't give him any breaks. Just keep attacking him. Don't give him any peace.
Han kommer selv lynhurtigt efter en slag. So you saw the heels must be throwing. Right, get some bars. Some bars.
Breathe deep, come on.
Get some right. You know it's going to be hard work. You know that. You know.
Right here you see Kessler land a beautiful counter left, right, just as Calzaghe comes in, leading himself off balance a little bit as he's coming in. Overly aggressive. And here you see the uppercut, which I think was the best punch of the fight so far. Both were counter punches.
And there was another uppercut later in the round, which likewise landed solidly. It was a very good round for Mikkel Kessler. They've been fighting on relatively even terms now into the fifth. Come on, Joe.
Calzaghe showing why he's a long-reigning champion in the face of a younger, fresher, more accurate opponent. He continually meets those crisp counter punches with counter punches of his own.
And Emmanuel, the pattern that most reporters expected has clearly emerged. Calzaghe throws more, Kessler lands harder.
Kessler lands harder, and Kessler seems to be more effective when he counter punches, more so than when he goes aggressive.
Plenty of opportunity to do that,
right,
the way Calzaghe throws.
Calzaghe gets over anxious sometimes and jumps in trying to get points and leaves himself open for counters.
Calzaghe ducking over the right hand, or ducking under the right hand there. We'll see when Kessler goes back to the uppercut as Calzaghe ducks his upstairs punches.
Both guys are taking turns, taking the lead and the control in this fight, which means it's a good fight.
Sometimes it's Kessler who's being backed up by Calzaghe's aggression. Sometimes it's Calzaghe who's being backed up by Kessler's superior punching power and hard jab.
Because of what's at stake here, this fight had, and the styles, this fight had the potential to be less than aesthetically pleasing. But these guys are creating beautiful, high-level stuff here.
Personally, myself, Max, I'm enjoying it because you see a little bit of everything. Boxing skills, exchanges, and every time one guy feels the other guy's taking control, he fires right back trying to take control himself. And I think it's going to be like that all the way through. The fight could end up being a very close, controversial decision the way it's going.
And both guys are remarkably accurate punchers, and as they tire down the stretch, that will come more into play. Because it's harder in the late rounds to defend yourself against precise punching, and they can both punch longer than they can defend.
I think if it goes down the stretch and continues to pace, it might be a slight edge, might go to Calzaghe if possible.
There's a trickle of blood from the right nostril of Kessler's nose. Clearly the result of a Calzaghe left hand. Hard right hand by Kessler. Sunday, November 18, tune into the premiere of our 4-episode series, Mayweather Hatton 24/7. We'll take our cameras to Las Vegas and to Manchester, England, for a revealing look into both fighters' lives and training camps as they get set for their December 8 welterweight fight live on HBO pay-per-view. Floyd Mayweather, Ricky Hatton, 24/7.
You've got to start sparking. You've got to start sparking. Shining. Start shining. Get a jab, work with that combination there. You're doing one thing only. You can't jab only. Right? You don't fight.
Here we see Kessler once again landing the counter punch. 1-2 after Calzaghe comes in and gets out of position. And it's been the continuing pattern for most of the punches that Kessler have landed tonight.
A fast pace into round 6 of a scheduled 12. Calzaghe is a southpaw who squares up and faces his opponents a lot of the time. Yeah, in this round, he's being very careful to keep his right shoulder in front.
Because most of the time that Calzaghe gets hit is after he throws his punches, his end up square and with his head falling forward out of position, and that's when Kessler lands those nice counter punches on him.
Kessler's getting hit more this round. Calzaghe's not throwing hard, he's just touching him, but he's more successfully doing it.
Now, good point, Max. It's a boxing round for Calzaghe so far. And Kessler, incidentally, is hearing his corner yelling for the uppercut because since the big barrage of uppercuts in round 4, he seems to have gone away from it.
Yeah, but right now the tempo, as I said earlier, of Calzaghe, I think is starting to take his effect. You know, both guys, but he's never fought anybody that punches with the authority of Kessler, so he's in a new territory as far as he's concerned in this fight also.
Well, when you think about the judging of the fight, Calzaghe is throwing almost twice as many power punches by CompuBox count, not landing them, throwing them. It's my experience in watching judges that the number of punches you throw is way more important than the number of punches you land.
Right. This round, he has not been as successful in hitting Calzaghe as much as he has in the past couple of rounds.
Calzaghe mostly sticking to the jab in this round, as Max pointed out, just touching Kessler, but very effectively so. And Kessler seems to have lost his rhythm for the moment.
Yeah, but you know, he's still punching that short, active punches, and all of a sudden he'll explode again. But I just believe that the tempo that Calzaghe said is starting to take his effect.
Calzaghe, it appears to me, has landed more clean punches in this round than he has in the entire fight until this round.
And has been defensively very good in this round also, too.
A boxing round. Look at how he keeps his right shoulder in front. Now he squares up momentarily, but immediately goes back into the southpaw stance.
And his father told him it's time to shine, I believe he said.
It's a great story. Joe Calzaghe, having been trained since age 9 by his father, Enzo Calzaghe, who, when he began this enterprise, had no background in boxing whatsoever, actually had to read instructional books to figure out what to tell his son. He's done pretty doggone well, Emmanuel.
Fantastic, and he's a tremendous athlete, too. You know, the same punch that Kessler's been landing effectively, he's been studying Calzaghe. He lets Calzaghe fall forward and then takes a step back and throws a 1-2.
More blood from the nose of Kessler after Calzaghe appeared to win a boxing round.
You're getting hit way too much. Just use your uppercuts and get out to the sides. You're not in front. You're behind now. Something has to happen. You're looking way too much at him. Go ahead.
You're listening? Yeah. Good, excellent round, fabulous round. All right, I want more. All right, 6 more rounds like that. All right? Yeah. Don't, let's poke the jab in, poke the jab in, poke to him, the job's yours.
Exterior of this terrific Millennium Stadium, a rugby pitch, tonight set up for a crowd of more than 50,000 for a boxing match. Jabs in round 6. Calzaghe 14 out of 55 jabs. That sounds like something Kessler might have done. Kessler 7 out of 37, and you heard Kessler's trainer Rickard Olsen saying, "You're behind, something has to happen." Harold, is he behind?
Absolutely. 58, 56, 4 rounds to 2, Joe Calzaghe. Jim, who's doing with southwest shoes. Right jab, straight left. Backing him up, taking it to him. He's winning his fight, not only on clean punching, but on effective aggressiveness. Kessler's got to do more of that. He's got to get off first and back up Calzaghe. Right now, Calzaghe won rounds 4 and 5. He's in the lead, 4-2.
Kessler landed one of those uppercuts a couple of seconds ago, as he goes back to the punch that served him so well in round 4. There's a great combination by Joe Calzaghe, and he sticks the jab twice more. And lands his left hand.
He's not just touching him in this round, he's hurting him, Calzaghe.
And you know, on top of the Calzaghe's defense has been perfect. He hasn't been hit with a clear, effective punch that I've saw in the last 2 rounds virtually.
So Calzaghe went to another level in round 5, and he's keeping it there now as he seems to begin taking over control of the middle portion of the fight.
We've seen Calzaghe turn boxer. Can Kessler now turn brawler?
Well, the most effective thing, as I said, Kessler was led, and he had been studying so much to take advantage of Calzaghe's bad position when he would get off balance. Right there. He only lands after Calzaghe throws a punch and gets out of position.
Kessler mixed in another one of those uppercuts in that exchange, and now he begins to seem to get more comfortable, but once again gets clocked with 2 straight Calzaghe lefts. And again, as Harold Letterman pointing out, it's mostly Calzaghe backing Kessler up. Now Calzaghe flirts with danger a little bit more in closer quarters with Kessler, and there's a mark of blood between Calzaghe's eyes on his upper or lower forehead. I think one of those uppercuts may have drawn the blood on Calzaghe. Big right cross by Kessler. He tries the uppercut again. Big body shot by Kessler. Hard left hook to the body, well thrown. And now Calzaghe begins to feel the urgency.
Yeah, but Kessler's having a pretty good round in terms of landing clean punches, but still it's a fast pace that I don't think he's comfortable with.
Calzaghe's discouraging Kessler because he's walking through those punches.
And every time the Kessler lands a good punch, Mad Mac, he goes right back to him right away. It makes him have to keep having to spend more energy.
Ebb and flow, shifting tides of fortune as we reach the end of the 7th in Cardiff.
Jabbing his ass and he lost the fucking plot. Listen to me, Joe. Yeah. Your boxing is ass off. Yeah, beautiful world. Can you keep it up, Joe? Can you keep it? He had to rally 4 shots. Big deal. Just do not ban the jab for me, Joe. As you're doing, nothing more than that. It's fantastic. Your boxing is fucking ass off. You
have to attack him. Go forward. You give him too much space. Way too much. Attack him. Just keep going forward.
7's coming up, right?
Come on, the 6 is over. Come on. Just keep going forward. It's now or never. Don't give him anything. Any time. Go forward.
Kessler's corner begging their man to go forward. Enzo Calzaghe praising his son, saying you boxed his ass off. Calzaghe threw 105 punches in the 7th round and begins to set up a working margin on Harold Letterman's scorecard. We're into the 8th. Calzaghe beating Kessler to the punch with his jab. It's been a pattern for most of the last few rounds.
But Kessler's more aggressive this round. He's actually leading the attack this round here.
That was a big left hook by Mikkel Kessler.
Yeah. Instead of waiting to counter punch as he's been doing most of them, he's actually aggressively going after Calzaghe this round.
But dropping his hands and allowing Calzaghe to land upstairs. Good straight right hand inside by Kessler.
Kessler's punching with a lot of authority right now this round.
Again, the left hook from Kessler. He's trying to make it into more of a fight.
Well, he's fighting right now, and everything he's punching is with full power.
Both guys are throwing bombs, and they're both good punchers.
Kessler's a better puncher, though.
Yes.
And he's doing exactly what he has to do because he was systematically losing the fight the way it was going. So I think he's coming out and not let it all hang out one way or the other.
Kessler needed to change. He needed to do something extra And he started to do it, and Calzaghe has responded.
And Calzaghe walked into a left hook as he was responding, but walked through the left hook and kept coming.
Kessler spent a lot of energy in the first part of this round, and now he may have to pay for that because he's getting a little tired. And Calzaghe, as always, is going to step up the pace right now, realizing that he may have lost the round so far.
Yep, but you know, when you look at the uppercuts earlier, several right crosses and the left hooks in the last couple rounds, Calzaghe's chin has been very impressive.
Both guys I've been impressed with all around their skill, the determination, the conditioning, everything.
Calzaghe's answer is to mix in body shots now. Two good left hands to the body.
Downstairs, Joe.
Now he comes back upstairs. Here comes Calzaghe.
Kessler's hurt.
And Ortega chooses this moment to warn Calzaghe for holding. The crowd doesn't like that. That's a break for Mikkel Kessler. But Calzaghe comes right back, takes a left hook for his trouble.
And Kessler is still standing up to punch. He's not trying to play it safe.
Once again, it's a fight, not a boxing match.
What a fight.
Emmanuel Stewart is standing up, just like everyone in the crowd.
It's the only right thing. You have to fight him. Attack, attack, attack. You can't afford anything else. This is the 9th round.
There's only two more independent sprints, Joe. Okay, come on.
Don't go raggedy, right? Don't go raggedy, all right?
Tight, right. Combination. Boom, boom, boom.
Here you see the body shot that I believe that Kessler was hurt with, which was a right shot to the body right there. I think that's what hurt him right there. And afterwards, it was something happened, and the referee gave him a warning, but I think it gave Kessler a break that he needed.
Some people thought that Mikkel Kessler's well-known power, his clear punching power, would diminish Joe Calzaghe's punch count. It hasn't happened. Calzaghe's had at least 2 rounds in which he's thrown more than 100 punches. He's letting his hands go just as he always does. And chopping away there.
And Calzaghe is punching with more authority. Not just a punch count, but it's a power punches.
Cutting right hand by Kessler.
Particularly hard to do against an accurate counterpuncher with power like Kessler. In Calzaghe, win or lose, you are looking at a special fighter.
Both of these guys are special here. Kessler has never been in this type of a situation, but he's still punching with full power and desperation, too.
Kessler trying to go to the body with his long right hand. Calzaghe has held the edge in body punching, largely because he's focused more there and thrown more. Another non-stop Calzaghe barrage. And if stamina becomes a factor down the stretch, the body punching figures in. Good straight left hand by Calzaghe. Kessler lands a stiff left. Calzaghe comes back with a combination.
Kessler seems to be a little bit on the tired side, but he's still punching very hard and can never relax with him because he can turn the fight around with one solid blow still.
Well, he's had a lot of big moments, just not enough of them. It's one of the oldest dictums in sports. On the road, you've got to play to win. Kessler's on the road here. He's got to let more of it hang out and play to win.
Throughout his entire career, what Kessler does has been enough to win. He hasn't been forced into a second or third gear. yet. And here he's being forced into it. And I think he's trying to do it, but Calzaghe continues to elevate as Kessler picks up the pace.
Calzaghe is very, very special. I'm just looking at the things he's doing, how he's making his adjustments.
Look at the hand speed.
Everything in the book. And is fighting with the same tempo and accuracy and speed that he did in the first round.
He's willing to take risks over and over to let his hands go. Immediately following our telecast, stay tuned for the premiere of Countdown Dakota Mosley. Our behind-the-scenes look at both fighters as they prepare for their welterweight showdown 1 week from tonight in Madison Square Garden, live on pay-per-view. What a great, great fight that could be.
You can do better, Joe, okay? Bam, 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 bam. Use your rallies to work and score points. Use your rally, you know? You can knock on for a winning.
When he gets forward, use your right and the left. Go left and use your right. Which round is this? This is the 10th. Go.
There we see body punches again, which I would have never respected that Calzaghe would be more effective in a fight with body punches than instead of with his jabs and his regular head punches.
Just wading forward, trying to hit anything he can. In the last 2 rounds, Calzaghe has outlanded Kessler by CompuBox count 50-32. Harold, how do you have it coming to the 10th?
Okay, Jim, 7 rounds to 2, 88, 83, Joe Calzaghe. Jim, Mikkel Kessler's got to do something. He's got to go to plan B or he's going to lose this fight. Joe Calzaghe just giving him a boxing lesson. Jab, jab, straight left. Jab, jab, straight left. Over and over and over again. By the way, Mike Ortega really took away Joe Calzaghe's advantage in the 8th round. He had Kessler hurt, and Ortega yanked him off to warn him about a shot behind the head. You can't do that. If a guy's got the other guy hurt, don't jump in. You know, you can warn him, but don't jump in. 8-2. Joe Calzaghe.
Emmanuel, every viewer can see the swelling above Kessler's left eye from Calzaghe's right hand, but they're not using the end swell between rounds on that left eye.
I'm surprised, too, but I really don't think they're even prepared. This is new territory for them. I mean, Calzaghe has had a lot of tough fights, injuries and whatnot. I don't think that Kessler's camp was just prepared for this type of a war. They have not had the experience in this situation.
As they pointed out in our meeting yesterday, Kessler's never been hurt in a fight. Maybe they didn't think it was possible. What a trade. What a war they've got in round 10 now. But Calzaghe looks cool as a cucumber amid the fight.
Yes, he is. It seems like he's more comfortable in this situation than Kessler.
Kessler is into a desperation mode of throwing enormous right-hand counter punches, hoping to catch Calzaghe with a home run punch.
Calzaghe is content to just keep letting his hands go and hit the target. There's a big flurry by Kessler, but only a couple of the punches landed.
You're right, Jim. There's a really good flurry, but I didn't see that many punches land. But at least Kessler is trying. He realized that he's losing. He's fighting as if there's some anxiety and anticipation of trying to win the fight. He hasn't given up like a lot of guys would do at this stage.
Well, for years, many in the sport have wanted to see Joe Calzaghe's chin tested. It's been tested tonight and has come through with flying colors.
Well, he's impressed me tonight because definitely these are the 2 best super middleweights in the world and maybe 2 of the best fighters in any weight division today.
And I think there's something to be said for an unconventional style. As great as Kessler is, you can prepare to fight somebody who's totally conventional. There's nobody else in the world exactly like Joe Calzaghe.
It looks to me that Calzaghe may have broken Kessler in the second half of that round.
It's good. As you're doing for stepping into him. Don't let he attack. You can't handle second attack. You can't handle second attack. Top and bottom, top and bottom. Off that lovely job you're doing. Fantastic. That's the one. The last 30 seconds was beautiful. Oh, more 2 balls.
You know what's about now. Knock him out. You know it. Just keep hitting him. Just keep going at him.
Breathing. Come on now. Getting tired. I know.
11 round?
11th round. And that's him, what I told you. Don't give him a chance.
You notice something before the beginning of each round, Calzaghe gets up first. Psychologically, that's really rough on your opponent, especially when he's tired. But every round, he gets up 15 seconds before the bell rings. And it impresses the judges.
And there have been 2 occasions on which he didn't sit down on the stool at all.
Yeah, and
which was an old George Foreman tactic for proving his dominance. Jabs in the 10th round, Calzaghe 14 out of 42, to only 10 of 28 for Kessler. Harold Letterman has not found a round to give to Mikkel Kessler in quite some time. 2 rounds to go, and you heard one of the trainers in Kessler's corner say, "You're not doing what we tell you to do."
Kessler's in his prime. He fought this fight as well as he could fight it. In the last round, knowing he needs a knockout, he tried to make it happen. Calzaghe weathered the storm. And I don't know if Kessler really believes he can win this fight anymore.
Well, I think Kessler's fighting a very good fight. He just said that with a phenomenal fighting machine. And any other fighter in the world, possibly, even in different weight divisions, he would probably be more successful and maybe beat them. Well, Calzaghe is in a whole zone by himself tonight. He's fighting a great fight.
He's been in a zone by himself for a long time, Emmanuel. If you look at his amateur and professional career, Joe Calzaghe hasn't lost a fight in 17 years. There are a lot of people who denigrated his opposition, but when you look at that record, there's a reason. And he's showing it tonight.
Well, he's really impressing me tonight. The Lacey fight wasn't as impressive as this fight is to me, because I thought a lot of situations made Lacey very vulnerable that night, but he's fighting a fantastic fight tonight.
Lacey was a far more limited fighter in style than Mikkel Kessler. And not as tall, not as rangy.
Yeah, this is a guy that matches up physically to him.
Kessler, 7 years younger, 1 inch taller, 2 inches longer in the arm, measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. Just as unbeaten as Calzaghe.
And as he's being chopped down.
And just as determined still to try to win this fight.
That's right, as he's being chopped down, he's throwing back.
Well, you guys make a great point. This isn't necessarily the exposure of Mikkel Kessler as something less than what he was supposed to be.
Yes, it's just a fantastic performance by a fantastic fighting machine named Joe Calzaghe. Kessler is still a very good fighter.
Somewhere Bernard Hopkins is watching. Calzaghe calls him Old Hopkins. But the discussion has been on for quite some time. And what a fascinating fight it would be, because of Hopkins' counterpunching style against Calzaghe's constant flood of punches.
It's hard for me to see any super middleweight, light heavyweight, anyone dominating this fight the way he's fighting now, unless it was an exceptionally great fighter. Anybody's going to have troubles with him.
11 rounds down. Does Kessler have a miracle rally? Or is it another magical night for Calzaghe in Wales?
I know he's annoying, I know it. You gotta go out there and be hard on him now. He's suffering. Keep going at him.
Last round, tie him up.
Okay, keep it tight. Dominate for him. You're going to wild, chuck the box before he punches. All right, let jab work, let jab work, let jab work. Okay,
give me
you
that
win.
one. Okay, you got it. Now listen, keep it tidy, don't go raggedy, and keep stepping off to your right.
You know, it's fascinating, Emmanuel. Kessler puts up a brave and spirited fight in every round. But between rounds, sitting in his corner, he looks absolutely shell-shocked.
Yes, he looks like he's giving up here that look, but he comes back and starts fighting as soon as the bell rings.
You know why he's shell-shocked? Because he's not doing anything wrong, Kessler. He's doing everything right. Calzaghe is a fighter against whom you can do everything right, and he'll make it come out wrong.
In fact, Kessler expressed exactly that before the fight when he said Joe's style is to spoil your boxing. That's a great phrase for what's happened tonight. He has spoiled Kessler's boxing.
You see how smart that Calzaghe is. He was getting hit with those right hands early after he would miss punches. Now he's beginning to bend over to his left to avoid getting hit with the right hands coming from Kessler. To his left. Calzaghe's left.
Kessler's fighting like an animal right now.
But I like that.
Good uppercut by Kessler. Momentarily stunned Calzaghe. With his left eye closing up, Kessler continues to try to find the one answer that will solve the riddle that has befuddled him through most of the second half of the fight.
These are super middleweights, but they're harking back to the great middleweight matchups of all time. Graziano and Marcel Cerdan and Tony Zale would be proud watching these guys.
They're both fighting like two undefeated fighters, too.
Calzaghe's going to bank on offense down the stretch. It's what brought him this far. Kessler appears to need the knockout.
He needs it, and he's trying to get it.
Great body punch by Kessler. Calzaghe stands tall and keeps throwing. Big right hand by the Dane. Here comes the Welshman. Mikkel Kessler's best round in the second half of the fight is not enough to change the probable outcome here. And the crowd knows what they've seen.
But I'm anxious to see his next fight.
Calzaghe's almost in a Ray Robinson position where, as good as you might be in the super middleweight division, I don't know if this guy can be beaten by what's out there right now.
Well, he himself has said, if I can beat Mikkel Kessler, there's nothing left at 168 pounds. I'm headed to 175. That, of course, overlooks the possibility of a fight against a Kelly Pavlik or a Jermaine Taylor, either of whom might want to fight Calzaghe after their probable rematch at 166 pounds. You saw Harold Lederman's final scorecard, a clear and decisive victory for the Welshman, Joe Calzaghe. Great fights often come down to the force of will. Joe Calzaghe's will, for 44 fights now, has been indomitable. And let's take a look at the three judges who will render the official verdict. Lederman's final score was 117-111 Calzaghe. That means 9 rounds to 3. Two of the three judges have come from the United States. Their identities flow from the governing bodies whose belts are being contested here tonight. Massimo Baravecchio of Italy, very inexperienced, only 5 title fights. And now Michael Buffer is going to announce the decision. The other two judges are Rafael Cais and John Stewart, or Raul Cais and John Stewart of the United States. But let's go to Buffer for the scores.
117-111. John Stewart, 116-112. Massimo Baravecchio, 116-112. All to the winner by unanimous decision. The fighting pride of Newbridge, Wales. Now the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Joe Calzaghe.
So all three judges see this fight pretty much in the same vein as Harold Lederman, and it is a clear, decisive, unanimous decision for Calzaghe. As I mentioned, 44 times he's gone to the ring as a professional, 44 times he's won. Mikkel Kessler, I should say, is for the first time in 40 fights a loser. Final CompuBox numbers, and they underline the clarity of the decision. Calzaghe landing 112 more, throwing, look at that, 425 more punches than did Mikkel Kessler. Jabs, Calzaghe landing 85 more, throwing 224 more jabs than did Mikkel Kessler. And in the power punch category, it was pretty much the same thing. Calzaghe landing 27 more, throwing 201 more power punches than did Mikkel Kessler. Emmanuel Stewart, you said at the beginning of the evening, in a matchup like this where one guy has more power and the other guy has faster hands usually win.
Yeah, but he punched with power too. It's surprising. He wasn't just punching like he normally does. He punched accurately. He actually hurt his opponent with a body punch. He just fought an all-around perfect fight.
Does at this point in his career, Calzaghe still have to struggle to get mainstream credit for being the great champion he's been, or are there now, based on a win like this, never to be any more doubts?
No, there's not any doubts. Not only about it as a super middleweight, but also as one of the best fighters in the world. In my mind, he should be in at least top 2 or 3 for the pound for pound, especially when you look at his overall record.
And how difficult will it be for Kessler to come back mentally from a defeat like this, given the fact that he, like Calzaghe, has gone more than 10 years without losing a fight?
I don't think it's going to be difficult at all. I saw the expression on his face. He was very happy with himself. It's like, hey, I fought a great fight, and considering everything else, and I'm very happy about my performance.
All right, let's go to Max Kellerman right now, who is, well, actually, I thought we were about to have an interview, but we're going to take a look at a graphic. Max, talk to us about the potential opponents now for Joe Calzaghe in the wake of his terrific victory here.
Well, he is the super middleweight champ. Hopkins is the light heavyweight champ, and Pavlik is the middleweight champ. However, there are contenders in and around those divisions. Arthur Abraham, the undefeated middleweight, is a viable opponent. Perhaps also Chad Dawson, the undefeated light heavyweight down the road, and maybe Lucien Boutet, the undefeated super middleweight contender.
The possibility that everybody in America talks about is a fight against Bernard Hopkins. Meanwhile, Max has an opportunity right now to talk to Mikkel Kessler, who's joined him at ringside.
Mikkel, first of all, congratulations on creating a classic super middleweight fight for us. You seemed to be doing what you wanted to do more or less over the first 3 rounds. What did Calzaghe do to change that?
You know, he like stopped my boxing. You know, I always said he's a match spoiler, but he was too difficult when I had to throw some punches. He was in holding me and destroying my boxing. So it was difficult for me, but I tried everything.
You certainly did. At what point in the fight did you realize that what you normally do wouldn't be enough and that you had to really start pressing for a knockout?
You know, I hit him, I can't remember, the 4th or 5th round with a great uppercut. And you know, I should have followed it up, but you know how it is. When the rounds go about the 7th or 8th round, I had to change some tactics, but he was difficult. He was getting better too. But I could see he was under pressure all the fight.
He seemed to hurt you with a right hook to the body at the moment the referee separated you. Were you in fact hurt with that right hand?
Yeah, I was.
Were you ever hurt with any other punches throughout the fight?
No, not at all.
If the referee had not intervened at that moment, were you considering taking a knee?
No, never. You know, no, of course not. If I can stand up, I have to stand up.
This is a stupid question to ask at this moment, but I'm obligated. What are your plans going forward?
No, I don't know. I have to train harder the next time. I hope I can get a rematch, of course.
You want a rematch because it didn't seem that simply fighting harder was going to do anything against this guy. It seemed as though no matter how well you fought, he could bring it to another level, yet you want a rematch.
Yes, of course I want to. And I want to change my tactics also. That's the main thing.
Mikkel, congratulations on a spectacular fight, even though you lost. We loved watching it, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Maxwell. An intelligent point by Kessler, who acknowledges that he'd have to change his tactics to win the fight because, Emmanuel, as Max said, you know, nothing that Kessler seemed to do deters Calzaghe from simply fighting harder and going to another level.
I don't think there's nothing he could do could have him beat Calzaghe other than knock him out. I thought he fought the best fight he could have fought. I was very impressed with his honesty, admitting that he'd been hurt. But I don't think that he could ever beat Calzaghe on just placing skills. He just move on and fight someone else, and that's just one phase of his life that he'll have to let go.
All right, Calzaghe occupied for the moment in the ring doing his interview with British television. Let's take a look at some highlights from what was a terrific fight, just as everybody had anticipated it was going to be. Round 3, Kessler momentarily went down on a slip after a body punch, but it was relatively immaterial to what was going on in the fight. A war of tactics early in the fight. Big uppercuts by Kessler in round 4 seemed for the moment to give him an advantage, but then in round 7, Calzaghe beginning to flow with his combinations and land many more punches in some stretches of the fight than Kessler himself was able to throw. In the 8th round, the body shot hurt Kessler, as Mikkel told you there, but referee Michael Ortega pulled Calzaghe away to warn him for hitting behind the head. And then down the stretch, just the continued flow of punches and the hand speed and the rhythm of Calzaghe. You know, you pointed out early in the fight, Emmanuel, you said Calzaghe fights at a fast rhythm that not only creates excitement in the crowd, it catches the eyes of the judges, and it puts pressure on the opponent both mentally and physically.
Yeah, I think that was systematically he broke down Kessler with just so many different things he kept doing and discouraged him. Every time that, you know, he would get hit with a good punch, he would come right back and take control again. And the only thing I can tell Kessler to do, just go ahead and let Calzaghe move on up to the light heavyweight, and you just come on back and win those belts back at super middleweight.
Well, you know, we talked about Calzaghe's proven chin, and never has it been more proven than after taking the uppercuts and the occasional right hands and some left hooks that he took from Kessler tonight. If he goes up to 175 pounds, does it put that chin back in question? Probably not against a fighter like Hopkins, right?
Yeah, but, you know, Bernard's not a devastating puncher anyway. You know, he's a very good technical, smart, very crafty fighter. I mean, he may have a little problem with the guys like Chad Dawson, some of those type kids, but I don't care who Calzaghe fights. If he can continue to fight, even though he's certified at that pace and with that skill level he's got right now, he's going to be a problem for anyone. I'm just glad he's not a heavyweight.
Yeah. Your man, Jermaine Taylor, or the fighter that you've trained in his last 4 fights, Jermaine Taylor, and Kelly Pavlik are talking now about a possible rematch in February at 166 pounds. That puts both Taylor and Pavlik within a couple of pounds of where Calzaghe's been fighting at 168. And Joe says he doesn't particularly want to fight at 168 anymore, but if the Hopkins thing couldn't come together, there'd be a ton of money in a fight between the winner of Taylor Pavlik 2 and Joe Calzaghe.
Oh, yeah, well, Calzaghe is definitely tonight. He became a superstar. I thought he became a star with the fight with Lacey, but tonight he really cemented everything. And whoever he fights, between a fight between Pavlik or Jermaine Taylor, it would be well viewed and very received.
All right, let's go to Max Kellerman with Joe Calzaghe right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, in case you're wondering what a great fighter looks like, he looks exactly like this. Joe, congratulations. Rate this performance compared to other performances in your career.
It's difficult to say, you know, judging by the opponent. He was a fantastic opponent, very strong, caught me some good punches, you know, but it has to be an excellent performance. You know, Mikkel Kessler, the peak of his powers. I'm 35, nearly 36, you know, and he still pulled out the hat. I'm tremendously proud of this performance. Has to rate up there with, obviously, Jeff Lacey and Eubanks. But it's up to you guys. You know, I haven't seen him back on the tape. I struggled a bit at the end, you know, but I felt it was a good pace, controlled the fight. We all make mistakes, you know. I got a bit careless at times, but hey, that's what makes me exciting, man.
In the first couple of rounds, I actually thought that Kessler was fighting very well. And right around the 4th, to me it appeared you seemed to turn the fight. Was that the case? What did you do? Did you change tactics at all during the fight?
Well, basically, you know, maybe it was a bit tentative. I was trying to get my jab to work. I see that he was waiting for the right hand. But my dad said I was, you know, maybe losing a bit too much respect for him and basically make him feel my power. So I become more offensive, and I caught him with a good body shot. I think in the 4th round he winced a bit, and I think when he commanded his respect, he thought twice, and I felt I controlled the fight from then on, where I was using my jab, putting some good punches in. Obviously, he had to dig deep in there. He caught me some good shots. He's a very, very talented
fighter. Did he ever hurt you?
I wouldn't say hurt, but stunned me. You know, that's boxing. You're gonna see the alarm bells ringing, but that's what makes me an exciting fighter, man, because I always come back. You know, when I'm wounded, I come back twice as hard, as I proved again tonight.
Did your dad say you have to shine? At some point he said you had to do something. I didn't hear it quite.
I think he just meant command the ring a bit more, you know, be the general. Sometimes maybe I was moving and let him control the fight, but as soon as I stepped in and started unleashing some good body shots, he definitely felt the body shots. Yeah, I felt some of his shots, but believe me, he felt some of my slaps tonight.
In the 12th round, you had the fight won. You were fighting a desperate fighter, a top fighter, throwing bombs. You didn't back off, you didn't hold him. You continued to fight. Why?
Because that's who I am. I'm a warrior. And at the end of the day, it's what's inside of me. I've never been a fighter to hold. I've never been a fighter to run. I'm here to entertain. I'm a fighter in my blood. So maybe it's careless. Who knows? If I got dropped, then it'd be the biggest mistake of my life. But it's the way I am. You know, it's a crowd. What the crowd want to see. You know, I give it my all. I give 110% every time I step in the ring, and that's who I am.
Joe, quickly, Bernard Hopkins wants you. I'm sure Kelly Pavlik has his eye on you. Who do you have your eye on?
Oh, listen, Bernard Hopkins, man. Let's do it. He's talking the big fight. Let's do it. You know, he wants the legacy, man. He has to fight the young warriors. Fight me. You know, he was lucky against Winky, right? Hey, I'm you, man. I'm going to fight all the top America. Fight anybody. You know, at 168, I think I've beaten everybody. I've got all the 4 belts. I'm ring champion. Let's get up to 175. And believe me, with the extra 7 pounds, I'm going to be a different animal altogether. A much better fighter.
Joe Calzaghe, congratulations on the best performance of your career.
Can I say as well, thanks to Elvis, these gloves are beautiful, man. Grant gloves, beautiful. Really felt good, man. Protecting my hands good. Cheers, Elvis.
Congratulations, champ. Jim?
That, incidentally, is a reference not to Elvis Presley, but to Elvis Grant, well-known boxing figure who is key executive at Grant Gloves, the gloves that Calzaghe wore to protect his often injured hands during the fight. And he made a reference there, Emmanuel, to the remark that some in Kessler's camp had made, and that has often been made about Calzaghe through his career, that he's a slapper, not a puncher. Let's settle this once and for all.
He's
no slapper, right?
Body, but he did admit, he said, I slapped him to the body pretty good. But no, he impressed me tonight. I've never saw him punch this good. That's why I say it was a perfect performance tonight. And it's one of those stellar performances that he may never pass. And especially beating Kessler, was a very, very focused and determined fighter.
All right. Great night, Emmanuel. And Max, a final word from you. We talk about the possibility of a fight against Bernard Hopkins. Kessler says what Calzaghe does is to spoil your boxing. If there's anybody in boxing who spoils your boxing, it's Bernard Hopkins. Could a fight between Calzaghe and Hopkins actually be aesthetically pleasing to watch?
If Calzaghe makes that aesthetically pleasing, he's truly capable of anything. I think that Calzaghe's performance tonight, it's not that it was perfect, it's that it was beyond that. He was faced with a prime, young, willful opponent in Kessler, a guy at the top of his game, and Calzaghe somehow found an extra dimension, and that is why he is now in the conversation for best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, along with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr. One last thing, what a year of boxing so far. Pavlik Taylor, Calzaghe Kessler. Next week we're doing Cotto Mosley by the end of the year, Hatton and Mayweather. It's a good time to be a boxing fan.
Yeah, it almost feels repetitive at this point. In fact, it is. I've told our audience, Max, a half dozen times that we're looking ahead to what might be the fight of the year, and next week we're looking ahead to what might be the fight of the year. And what a fantastic year it's been. And incidentally, just to put the final capper on all of the pre-fight hype and the build-up to what happened here, the official attendance was indeed 50,150 fans. So thanks for being with us from Cardiff, Wales on this perhaps the most anticipated fight ever in the sport between two Europeans. It totally lived up to expectations. And the winner was a guy who has long ago proven that he's a terrific champion, now unquestionably can be seen as one of the greats, Joe Calzaghe. Mark your calendars for these upcoming sports programs. Next Saturday night on HBO pay-per-view, Miguel Cotto defends his welterweight title against Shane Mosley. November 17th, a Boxing After Dark doubleheader featuring Juan Guzman defending his 130-pound title against Humberto Soto, and a bantamweight matchup between Abner Mares and Damian Marciano. November 18th, it's the premiere of our 4-part series, Mayweather Hatton 24/7. We'll take you inside the lives and training camps of both fighters in the weeks leading up to their December 8 mega fight. December 8 on pay-per-view. We close out our year in the ring with pound-for-pound king Floyd Mayweather, defending the welterweight belt he won last November as he takes on England's Ricky Hatton. For all that and more, log on to HBO.com. Next on HBO, stay tuned for the premiere of Countdown Dakota Mosley. And if you missed any part of tonight's broadcast of Calzaghe-Kessler, you can catch it again Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on HBO, and on HBO 2 Sunday at 5:30 and Tuesday night at 11 p.m. So now for our entire HBO crew, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long from Cardiff, Wales.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.